Having been asked by the religious leaders who he was, and confessing that he was not the Christ, John the Baptist is then asked in John chapter 1, verse 21, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." In Malachi chapter 4, verse 5, it is prophesied, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes." And this is God himself speaking. So as there was an expectation of the Christ, the Messiah, there was also an expectation of some reappearing of Elijah. If you know the story, Elijah was taken up into heaven. He did not die. And so there was expectation that he would come again because of this prophecy in Malachi. And there are also striking similarities to John the Baptist and Elijah. In 2 Kings chapter 1 verse 8 and in Matthew chapter 3 verse 4, their attire is described and it's very similar. They're both described as what we would probably depict as very rugged men. They wore garments of hair with a leather belt, so they were rough around the edges, and their ministries were very powerful. But interestingly, Paul says he is not, John the Baptist says he is not Elijah, and his recognition of this doesn't seem to be full, because as Christ will describe it, his function very much is that of Elijah. Listen first of all to what the angel says to John's parents in Luke chapter 1 verse 13. "Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall call his name John." In verse 16, "And he will turn many of the children of Israel to the Lord their God, and he will go before him in the spirit and power of Elijah." Okay, this is what the angel says, and listen to what Christ says about John the Baptist. Matthew chapter 11, verse 13 and 14. "For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John, and if you are willing to accept it, he is Elijah who is to come." So John the Baptist says, "No, I'm not Elijah." Malachi says Elijah will come, and Jesus says he is the Elijah to come. So what do we make of this? John the Baptist saying he isn't, and Jesus saying he is. Let me read one more passage before we answer that question. Matthew chapter 17, again, this is Christ speaking in verse 10. The disciples asked him, "Then why do the scribes say that first Elijah must come?" He answered, "Elijah does come, and he will restore all things. But I tell you that Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him, but did to him whatever they pleased. So also the Son of Man will certainly suffer at their hands." Then the disciples understood that he was speaking to them of John the Baptist. So once again, John the Baptist says, "I'm not Elijah." Jesus says, "I am Elijah." What do we make of this? I think there's a very important takeaway for us, and that is we need to be about our ministries, doing the things that we're called to do, ministering to people as God has called us to, and using the gifts that he's given to us of his Spirit, and not worrying ourselves with the impact, not worrying ourselves about who people think us to be, just doing what he's called us to do. I believe that John the Baptist did not recognize that he was fulfilling this prophecy of being the Elijah who was to come, but yet God was using him in this role. And very clearly Jesus saw it that way. So don't concern yourself with the impact, with the reach of your ministry, the fruit of your ministry. Cause yourself to be most concerned with your faithfulness to your ministry and doing what you were called to do. And that kind of faithfulness and focus on the ministry itself to the glory of God is what will cause a great impact if God blesses it to be so.